Hey everyone, welcome to Meeple Bits. Thanks for joining me today. Today we're going to go through the game Ticket to Ride. And I was looking for, a little fun backstory, couldn't really find it on BGG, but I just checked the back of the box and there's a little something, so I'm going to give it a quick read. 28 years to the day that noted London eccentric Phileas Fogg accepted and then won $20,000 bet that he could travel around the world in 80 days. Now at the dawn of the century, it is time for a new impossible journey. Some old friends have gathered to celebrate Fogg's impetuous and lucrative gamble and to propose a new wager of their own. The stakes $1 million in a winner-takes-all competition. The objective? To see which of them can travel by rail to the most cities in North America in just 7 days. Seven Wonders, originally published in 2004, designed by Alan Moon, published by Days of Wonder for 2 to 5 players with a playtime of 30 to 60 minutes. So join me as we go through this setup and playthrough of the game Ticket to Ride. Hey guys, welcome back to a setup and playthrough of the game Ticket to Ride. Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the components and everything that we're working with so that we know what we've got. There's going to be player markers in every player color: yellow, red, blue, or green, blue, and black. Every player is going to then receive a set of trains of their color. They look like so. And there's 45 in total. There are routes colored cards, and then there are route tickets. And then the player board. The player board in this base game of Ticket to Ride is set up like the United States. And as you can see here, there are different colored routes throughout the game, as well as a victory track surrounding. So as you go through and complete different sections, you can then score yourself around the board accordingly. So a one leg, like this one, would be worth 1 victory point. So if a player on their turn were to come in this location, they would move themselves up 1 victory point. Conversely, here is a road of 6, so if you complete that, you would move yourself 15 victory points around the track. And then lastly, we have this longest track card. So the person with the longest track will get an additional 10 victory points. This will be off to the side and get passed around throughout the course of the game until the end game happens. How the game ends is when a player, on the end of their turn, has used all of their trains, has 1 or 2 trains left in their stock, then that triggers the end game event. All players then get 1 final turn, including the player that triggered the end game event. In addition, throughout the course of the game, you're going to want to fill out these tickets or these routes, and this is how you score victory points throughout the game. But keep in mind that any routes that go unfinished or incomplete, you lose that number of victory points at the end of the game. So if you're trying to go Winnipeg to Houston, Winnipeg all the way up there, Houston all the way down here, if you're trying to complete this route but unsuccessfully have this card, if you have this card in your hand and unsuccessfully finish the route by the end of the game, you would lose 12 victory points. So the game is set up where all players choose a color, and then everyone's going to receive a hand of train cards, like so. Each player is going to receive 4 to start with. 4. Hand these out to each of the players. Okay. So each of them will get 4, and then each player is going to also receive 3 ticket cards to start with. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3. And on their turn, they're going to be able to choose whether or not to keep any of the cards. On this opening turn, a player will receive 3, but must keep at least 2. So I'm going to take these 2 and have the other players just keep all of their cards. Set the ticket deck off to the side available for all players. Pull out 5 train cars, like so, and they are in each of the colors of the paths available to you, including a wild card. This wild card can be treated as any color you choose. One note, in a 2 or 3 player game, like we have set up here for a 3-player game, some of these routes have 2 tracks available to them. In those instances, only 1 track may be used. So, if a player, let's say this player were to discard 4 orange cards, no one can then come on this black section of the track in a 3 or 2 player game. In more players, it doesn't matter. Both routes can be used. So how do you build routes? Well, you're going to collect train cards to get the number required. So here's my starting hand. Oddly enough, it's 3 wilds. That was a bad shuffle, but good for an example. So this now can be 4 orange cards, or let's say it's 3 wilds, it can be 3 of whatever I wanted. Where there are no colors, you can choose any color to use on those legs. So you're going to choose an area, pay the number of train cards it costs in the color of the leg that you're trying to use, and then put your trains in that section, like so. That's how you build out the legs. On your turn, you can choose one of 3 things to do. 1, draw train cards. There are 5 available here, and you may pick 2, but if you choose a wild card, you may only choose that 1. And you can choose from these face-up cards like so, or you can draw from the draw pile here. So on your turn, you can choose the known and say take 2 cards or 2 cards like this, or you can draw from here. And if this top card, say, were a wild card, you may still draw a second card, either from the deck or from the known. So you can choose, as I mentioned, either 2 cards here or 1 wild. And then if you say choose 1 here, you immediately replace it. And then for that second draw, you can pull from here or from the pool of cards. Option 2, claim a route. So I've got, say, these 4 orange cards as an example. And let's say I wanted to claim this Atlanta to New Orleans route. I would then pay 4 orange cards and then put 4 trains here like so. Or I can draw destination tickets. On my turn, I can draw 3 destination tickets from the top of this deck, and I can keep 1, 2, or 3 of them, but I must keep at least 1. And that's it, guys. The game's going to continue until all players have drafted enough cards to build out the legs in hopes of completing the routes that they have on their tickets. And on their way, they're trying to score those victory points. The game ends once once the one player has, at the end of their turn, only has 2, 1, or 0 trains left in their stock. Then all players get 1 more turn, including the player that triggered the endgame event. Then the player with the most victory points around the track is the winner. And that's it, guys. That's Ticket to Ride. Very straightforward. You're drafting train cards of colors and hopefully being able to build out routes like so in order to get the most victory points. So let's take a quick look at what some of those turns are going to look like to give you an idea. So starting here with player 1, I already know that I have a very strange deal, but I've also got some tickets here. I've got Winnipeg to Houston and Winnipeg to Little Rock. So I've got 2 starting in Winnipeg. So no matter what I choose, I definitely need to somehow get from Winnipeg either down here to Houston or here to Little Rock. And there's a lot of paths on that route. So, you know, I don't want to spend a lot of my cards just yet because I do have 3 wilds, and there's no maximum to the number of cards you can have in your hand. So you know what? I'm going to go ahead and draw up 2 cards, immediately replacing, and I'll go ahead and take this other orange, and then immediately replacing. And so that's player 1's turn. Now on to player 2. Player 2 has Seattle to New York, wow, cross country, Toronto to Miami, and Vancouver to Montreal. So there's Vancouver, there's Montreal, and they also have Seattle to New York. So this person's trying to get, so player 1 is trying to get top to bottom on their initial routes. Player 2 is trying to get, east to west on their routes. So looking at that, player 2 is going to choose to, let's see what kind of cards they have. All right, so they got 2 whites, a yellow, and an orange. Nothing too exciting, but they're going to go ahead and take this 1 wild card into their hand. Immediately replacing the card, and then player 3's turn. Player 3, their tickets that they have are Sault Ste. Marie to Nashville, Seattle to LA, and Sault Ste. Marie to Oklahoma. So I think starting in one spot, let's see, there it is, here in Sault Ste. Marie to Oklahoma City, right here. And that could be a pretty easy path. And they've got 2 paths to Oklahoma City and to Nashville. So they need to get from there, possibly down here, and then across this way. So not too horrible. And let's see what kind of cards they've got to start with. 3 yellow and a white. Looking at this hand, I think they're going to spend these 3 yellow to go ahead and, so player 3 is also going to be yellow. They're going to spend these 3, put them over in a discard pile, and they're going to build from here 3 trains. And then they've built 3 trains, which is worth 4 victory points, so they're going to move up the victory point track to number 4. And now back to player 1's turn. Player 1 has quite a many oranges, and as we know, they are trying to get from Winnipeg to different places, but looking at that, they need blue or black really to get them there. So they will probably draft some blue into their hand. 1, replace the next one. 2, replace the next one. There we go. Now player 2's turn. Again, they're trying to go east and west. So they do have the ability now to start building out some of their routes. So they could, oh no, they cannot. But they do need to get over there to Montreal. 3 cards, they got 1 wild. So yeah, let's do that. So let's take these 3 cards here, discard them, and build a route of 3 right here. There we go. And that route of 3 is worth 4 victory points. Now back to player 1's turn. They finally were able to get enough things so that they could start their path south. So they're going to use 2 blue, 2 wild as to build out this path here. That's a path of 4 worth 7 victory points. There we go. And then it's going to go to the next player. And each player is going to continue until all their trains have been exhausted to trigger the end game. And the player with the most paths completed will be the winner. So that's it, guys. That's the setup and playthrough of Ticket to Ride. Pretty straightforward, definitely a gateway style game, so stay tuned for my afterthoughts. Thanks so much. Hey guys, welcome back. Thanks for joining me for that setup and playthrough of the game Ticket to Ride. So, like always, let's go ahead and start and address components and the quality thereof. The box insert is really well thought out and really well done. There's divots that hold all the trains very nicely. There's even little divots for the for the victory point markers, which I really do appreciate. So everything fits nicely in the box. The board, big and heavy enough to keep everything down. So really, they put some thought into that box insert qualities, and I always appreciate that. The card could be a little bit thicker of stock, I guess. Maybe even a little bit bigger because sometimes the cards are a little small, a little flimsy. But I get why they had to kind of cut down on that one because look, there's a lot happening on that play area, so it makes sense. And then the trains, yeah, they're just your typical plastic. I don't know if there's any upgrades for it that made them a nice acrylic or anything, but I think that would be a pretty cool upgrade, maybe on a future print. Why you should add Ticket to Ride to your collection? Well, it's one of those gateway games, if you will. It's a game referenced in a lot of conversations, and it's been out for such a long time. So Ticket to Ride, Catan, and more recently even Splendor. I kind of roll these three up in a sort of, gateway conversation. So these are usually different style games that people are going to enjoy and determine if they want to get into a next level of gaming. So if you want to introduce some people into board games or into the hobby, Ticket to Ride should be added to your collection, if only to introduce others into the games as well. There's simplicity to the game with enough components and ease of getting into it that it'll draw people to it. There's then a ton of variations to the game, not this one, but there's Ticket to Ride wherever. So there's definitely a style of game for you or for your group that you might want to add. Reasons why you may not want to add Ticket to Ride to your collection is, look, for me, it's okay fun, but not a game that I'm going to want to bring to the table all that often, to be pretty candid. It has been out a long time. I wouldn't say that any of the mechanics are stale. I've tried some of the other ones where they try to add some new ways to, score some additional points and things like that. But it's just sometimes it's a little too straightforward. Look, you get the cards, you get the things, you build out the paths, and sometimes it's just too either easy or too hard to build things out because whether someone's thwarting you or whether you're just able to build out some quick legs. The game itself for me, just okay. Yes, it's classic. Yes, it's gateway. But all of that said, it's just okay. So if you're looking for a lot of fun in your game to add to your collection, I don't know, give it a miss. If you're looking to add an easy transitional game to your crew and you want to take them into the next level, yeah, give it a go. You can usually find Ticket to Ride on sale for usually as low as $30 in most places. So if it's not a huge undertaking, yeah, add it to the collection. Otherwise, guys, there's better gateway games that I would probably suggest out there. But I guess that's all for now. If you've happened upon the video and you enjoyed the content, please leave a like. Please leave a subscribe. I definitely appreciate all the support. But until next time, guys, thanks for watching.